Okay. Much better. Hey guys, it's Katie, and this is episode basically 1 of Faith at Work. And today we're going to be talking about the NAR settlement and what it means for you, the consumer, and the agent, and kind of the broker. But if you're a broker, you probably have decided how this is going to go for you. So the NAR settlement is like a big buzzword. People think that they know what it's about. And, I've talked to sellers that are like, hey, does this mean I don't have to pay a buyer, or what is it about? So the settlement basically happened to just shut down some frivolous lawsuits is how I would explain it. And the reason that it happened was because NAR was being sued, saying that there was, a truth in lending violation where people were steering or pricing, doing specific pricing, and then making it where people were steering people away from properties or coercing or making it impossible for people to have their own decisions on whether they were going to pay a buyer's broker or not. If you've ever signed a listing agreement, you know that the listing agreement basically says, this is what the percentage is going to be that I'm going to pay the professionals to sell the house. So whether that was, doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. Then the broker who had you sign that said, hey, if somebody brings somebody, I would like to pay them blank. What do you think? And then it was written in there, how much would you pay the buying broker to come and bring a buyer? There was also a specification that, hey, what if I bring the buyer as the selling agent? I'm the listing agent and someone comes in and I represent the buyer. Then you designated a different number for that. So that's how we all know it's always worked. And that is really not a problem, but because the attorneys decided to get together and do a money grab on people, this is where we're at now. So now we're pretty much business as usual, except that we're trying to make it where the seller really understands you don't have to pay a buyer's broker. If we do offer something to the buyer's broker, it can be a sliding scale. It can be negotiated with the contract, or it can be where the buyer's agent says, hey, this is what I want to be paid, and then we pay it separate out of the fee that is basically designated on the listing contract. So what does this mean for you as the buyer? If you're a buyer, I'm going to ask you, please, I'm the broker of Lux RE in Naples, Florida. Ask me any questions that you have about this and how you should proceed. If I were you, I would sign a non-exclusive agreement. So a non-exclusive agreement with a broker is basically saying, hey, it's like now. I met you on the street, or I met you because your friend thought that I was a great agent, and I met with you and I showed you a couple of properties. And when I showed you those properties, now I have to have something signed from you saying that you know that I'm showing you property and that I should get paid for working and that this is what you would pay me in the instance that you buy a house. That agreement can be non-exclusive, meaning if you met me on the street and I showed you a couple properties and then you went to an open house, liked an agent more, and bought a property with them, that is okay. And you would be able to proceed and buy a property with them. If you sign an agreement with me that says that I'm your exclusive broker, then you can't just have that freedom to go like to an open house, sign an agreement with someone else, or not sign an agreement and buy the house. So it's tying you to me in a way that we've never been tied before. So if you are working with an agent who's asking you for an exclusive agreement, make sure that the terms work for you, because you are not obligated to sign an exclusive agreement, but you are obligated to sign an agreement, which means we aren't allowed to show you a house. You're seeing all the memes, I know you are, where we're not allowed to show you a house unless you have signed some type of an agreement letting you know that, hey, if the seller doesn't pay, or even if the seller decides that they would pay, this is what my fee is as your buyer's broker. What does it mean to a seller? To sellers right now, it means kind of nothing, because if you want to be able to tell buyers, brokers that they are going to be compensated, we're keeping things kind of the same, except that we're making it a scale sometimes, or we're negotiating the rate based on the contract price or within the terms of the contract, instead of saying, hey, this is for sure what the buyer's broker is going to get paid no matter what. So nothing has really changed for the sellers as of right now. So if I were you as a seller, I would still offer buyer's compensation. Just do it in a way that is designed to protect you, your broker, and everybody in the process from getting sued by some frivolous lawsuit down the road. So what does it mean for the agent? You guys, stop freaking out and stop making people sign things that are unnecessary or feeling like you can't get something signed or like you don't know what you're worth or you don't know what to negotiate and you don't want people to be hurt by you. They're not going to be hurt by you. Just like if I'm the listing agent. Here's the perfect example. Before all this happened, if I'm the listing agent and my percent that I'm going to get ends up in a $20,000 commission and someone comes in and they want to buy a house, and they come in $20,000 lower than what my person wants to accept as the seller, right? So the house is listed at $650. My seller will accept $600. You come in at $580. Did I think that I was obligated to drop my commission to zero in order to make the buyer and the seller meet at $580? No, absolutely not. I should be paid what was agreed upon for marketing the house and putting the deal together. So same thing with this. If the buyer's agent has negotiated they're going to get a $20,000 commission, then that needs to be factored into the deal. So if you need help with that, you know that I'm around, and I'm going to get Val's intake on this because she hasn't been in real estate very long, and I want to know, like, what are people feeling like out there? Like, what kind of questions would you have if you've never bought a house or if you were going to sell a house?
Yeah, my first question. So for me, I've never bought a house. And I'm looking to become a first-time home buyer in the next couple of years. And
she actually tries to buy a house every week. She's like, Katie, what about this? Katie, what about that? I'm like, listen, like, pray about it. We'll see, right? Because that's the other thing. Pray about it, right? So that's the faith at work. So whenever we have a situation come up and we are wondering like, gosh, should we have bought this? Should we buy that? Should we sell this? We always pray about it and we listen and we give the time for God to tell us what to do. So that's what Val's working on right now.
Yeah, working on faith and patience. But for someone like me, how would this affect how I would look into finding my next agent, and how could this kind of financially affect a purchase?
Yeah.
For someone who, like, it seems like I wouldn't be able to pay these fees. I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah.
If things get any further, like, I'm already coming up with a down payment, closing costs. What would I try to keep in mind for my next purchase?
Okay, I love this. And this is probably a question that so many people have. So just like before this all happened, you weren't thinking about that. All you were thinking about is, what school district do I want to live in? What neighborhood do I want to be in? What can I afford? You were thinking about all the important things to you. Please focus on those things. Get with an agent who knows what they're doing and who is going to put your needs first. Because if you do that, then like if me and Val start working together, she won't have to worry about my fee because I'm going to make sure that I'm paid on the transaction just like I always am for the value that I bring as an agent. So you should not have to come out of pocket anymore for your agent. And you shouldn't even have to factor that in. Say you start working with an agent, they're like, hey, like the sellers aren't going to pay and I need you to pay me and it's something you can't do. That's the importance of not having an exclusive agreement because some agents aren't going to be able to represent you the way that you need to be represented. And some of them aren't going to be able to discount the commission to make sure that your deal works because they're fighting for every single dollar and you need to maybe be working with someone a little bit more seasoned who's not relying on every single deal to feed their family because that's kind of what happens in real estate is unfortunately we don't make that much money if you're not selling a lot of real estate, right? So if you're only doing 1, 2, 3 deals a year, then you're making $2 an hour or less. So if a deal's coming up and it's the difference between getting your person the house and getting a commission, it's a decision that some people are going to have to make, unfortunately, but it's always been something that we've done. So even though it's structured different, it's like when you put in GPS where you're going and you can go Waze or you can go Google Maps. You're going to go a different way, maybe either way, but you're going to end up at the same place. So that's our goal for first-time home buyers and people who are worried about this is we want to make sure that as the professional, we're taking on all of this garbage that has come with the NAR settlement and not making you have to focus on that for your future. So that is an awesome question. I hope that gave you some clarity, even though it really only helps you if you're working with the right people, right? Because if you're working with the right people, it's a no-brainer. And if you're working with somebody who's making you feel a little uncomfortable or like, hey, like maybe this person can't represent me the way I need, then you need to go find somebody else, and that's completely okay. And even if you've signed an exclusive agreement, if you need questions on how to get out of those or what to do next, go ahead and message us and we can help you. So that's awesome. Yeah. I think that's the main question for first-time home buyers, especially people who have been in the industry and been buying for a long time. They thought this was the opportunity for them to not have to pay commissions, or commissions were going to get lower or whatever. It's really not the case, because if you really know what an agent or a quality realtor does, you're not looking to discount them. You're looking to make sure that they get paid so that they help you time and time again. I know that that's what my customers feel like. They're like, gosh, like, you saved the deal, or you made this happen. Like, I would have never gotten this without you. So that's the kind of agent that you need to be focused on. And that's what we do at Lux RE. We would love to partner with you in real estate and answer any questions you have about the NAR settlement or anything going on in the industry. I've got tons more information about this coming next week after we go to the Jared James event, which is in Orlando. And we're going to be getting tons of new tips and tricks. So I'm going to bring all those to you guys next week. I think that's good to wrap this up and just know that we're here for questions, and we're going to do these quick little podcasts so that you have something to listen to on your way somewhere, so that you can get little bits of information and then reach out to us for the full package. So I look forward to seeing you again. And until then, stay elevated.